Welcome to the Fairbanks Soil and Water Conservation District offices here in Fairbanks, Alaska. We're live here in our office. This is an active office, so you might hear some voices and some other things in the background, but we're here to share with how to build a deep water culture system with locally sourced items and with practical tools that you have around the house already. So I'm Scott Faulkner. I'm an educator, a natural resources and agriculture educator here at Fairbanks Soil and Water, and I'm here with Mel.
I'm Mel Sykes, and I work here as the Natural Resource Education Specialist. And Fairbanks Soil and Water works with a lot of different folks in the community, mostly landowners, and we help advise them on different ways to make wise use of their natural resources. We work in a lot of different areas, but one of the things we've gotten into over the last few years is hydroponics. And we were asked by Aleutians Pribilof Island Association and UAF to help create some videos on how you put together some of these really super simple systems. And so today we're going to walk you step by step through making a deep water culture system with a storage bin. And we hope that you look at our website where we have all the plans that you can access to make this yourself. Our goal with this was to make something that was super easy, not just to build, but also to manage in wherever part of Alaska, whatever kind of water you have, whatever kind of lights you have, you can grow food for yourself. So that's our hope with this video. So we're going to start in
Year round. So we started off by going to Lowe's and we got this 17-gallon container. These should look very familiar to you. Or these can be sourced from Home Depot or maybe from Fred Meyer, whoever you have sending out your products to you.
or Amazon. You can order on Amazon too.
We're going to take off the lid. We're going to save that later. Mel's going to show you a trick you can do with the lid to help grow. Get rid of that. So we're going to start off with our container. So this is what's going to hold our liquid solution. And our solution is fresh water and it has nutrients in it. We'll talk about a little bit about what nutrients we're going to put in that later. So our nutrient solution goes down into this. We like to, about 2/3 of the way full is where we will keep our water line. We need to know where our water line is going to be in here because we're going to size our floating mat. This is a deep water culture system. There's other kinds of hydroponic systems, but deep water culture system is one that's proven really reliable for us, especially with power outages. Our plants continue to stay in the water in a deep water culture system because our mat continues to float and goes down as the nutrients and water solution is used and continues to keep them wet. The other things that will be in here, and Mel's going to show you, we're going to put in, we like to have oxygen, dissolved oxygen in with our water for the plants, and we'll add an air stone and an air compressor with that in a little bit. But let's get started.
And don't forget water and nutrients.
Water and nutrients, yeah.
Those are the big
So
keys.
don't forget our lawns. The plants need lawns, right? They need light. We'll be talking about that here in a minute. They need air, and that's where the kind of come from the air pump, and also air circulation around the top of the plant. You may want to have a small fan that blows across the top of your plants. And our W is water. Our water is provided through our deep water culture system in this one. So you don't have to worry about watering every day. This system frequently can go up to a week without having any service done to it. If everything's set up right and the plants are younger, a week easily it'll go. So you can actually leave for the weekend and not worry about your plants. And then the N is nutrients. We'll add that to our water. And S is for space. So we won't have the plants jammed up really close to one another. We'll follow the recommendations on the seed packet to how much space each plant needs. And then we also have to consider the plant growing upwards of how much space it needs, the roots, how much space they need. So this makes a nice, this is a nice setup for leafy vegetables. So we like to grow lettuce in this. We like to grow basil in this, and then you can branch out into a few other ideas. But the spacings we'll use today are for those type of vegetable plants, and we'll be growing them through the vegetative cycle. So our lights will have that consideration as well. Let's get started by cutting our foam board that goes into this that's going to float in it. So we need to determine, because the sides of these containers are not perfectly vertical, so they slant in. So we'll need to consider that as we measure where our floating mat goes. And our to measure.
Oh,
Okay, so when we measure, yeah, if you would.
We'll be right
When
back.
we measure, we want to consider where our mat is going to float at, and then cut our mat just a little bit smaller than that. So we're going to start out with foam board, 1 inch foam board. Just like we sold in the insulation section at Lowe's or Home Depot. They can be bought in 2x2 sections if you don't want to deal with a 4x8 sheet, or they can be bought in 4x8 sheets. We bought a 4x8 sheet because our width is a little bit more than 2 foot in this particular container. So if you did this piece is 2 foot wide, so you'll see there's a void in the other outer section. You can just get the 2 foot by 2 section. So I determined the full height when I measured down in here of my container is about 9 inches, and about 2/3 of that is 6 inches. And that's kind of where I want my water line to stay. So I came up 6 inches, and then I measured the width, and it ended up being about 26 inches. And well, the other measurement being about 16 inches is what I came up with. I cut my sheet. We use a box knife so we can mark our board with a straight edge, and even a ballpoint pen works nicely and makes a nice line in the foam board. And then you can use a box knife to cut that. Push the box knife all the way in. It won't go all the way through the 1 inch foam board. Make the line, and then the board will quickly pop when you push it against something. So I'm going to do a demonstration here of doing that on the edge of the table. And it pops right off with just a simple cut in the foam board. The next thing we'll want to consider is that the corners are not completely square in the container. So we will want to, I just took the edge of my coffee mug and made a round corner on them. And again, I pushed around my knife and went around the edge and popped the corner off. Here, I'll give you a demonstration of that. So let me grab my coffee mug. I got it right here. And a pen. And then can I have that knife, Mel? And so
You got the Sharpie right
I love this. So I'm just going to use my pen to mark around that. You can see my line right there around the edge. And then by pushing the knife in, always be aware of the surfaces below you when you're cutting, that you're not cutting all the way through and ruining a table. And kind of do it like a saw as you go through around it. And if you went deep enough, this should just pop right off. And if you want to get really neat, you can carve the edge to make it really neat. So we'll want to remove all of the small residue of the foam. The foam itself is food safe, but we don't want to have a lot of particles in it because they'll plug the pump up or any filters that we may have in the system. So then you'll get a rounded edge that looks a lot like this on each of your 4 corners. And then that is able to sit down into and float in our container. And then it has, we don't want to leave a lot of void around the outside edge because we don't want exposed water or exposed nutrient solution to air as much as possible. So that will cause a lot of extra algae bloom to happen. Algae is okay. It will be present in here around the edges. That's okay. A healthy amount is, but the more exposure we have of the nutrient solution to the air and light will cause algae to grow. It loves that light we're going to be giving it and the nutrients. Perfect conditions for it. So we want to have plants in all of our holes. So let's move to that section next. The next thing you're going to want to do is determine where your plants are. Imagine this is our sheet that we're going to use in it. No need for fancy math in here. We can simply take our 2-inch net pots. This is called a net pot or a net cup. It's like a plastic cup, but it has holes in the bottom for the roots to come through, but yet support the plant. So what we do is we kind of go around, see what the recommendations for the plant are on your seed packet. And then we're putting 12 holes in ours. If this was the actual size of mine, this would make about 9. So we kind of eyeball where things are. Our plants in ours are center to center is 7 inches one way and 6 inches the other. So 6 to 7 inch spacing in our grid that we came up with. And that's exactly what we did. We laid them out like this in a grid and eyeballed it. Once we were happy with where everybody was, we took our pen, you can use a magic marker or a regular pen, and slightly go around the outside of each one of the net pots. Once you have all of those done, I can do a demonstration here of this. Yeah, I can use this too. Okay, I'll do it with magic marker.
Well, while you're getting that ready, I'm going to show you that you can buy those net pots in all different sizes. The one thing that you need to do is think about the size of the plants you're going to be growing. So if you're going to be growing something with a very thick stem, you might want something a little bit bigger. That includes like tomatoes or large shrubby kind of things if you're growing them in there. The only difference with this one though is you need a little bit more material in the cups to hold your plant steady. So there are things called clay balls that come. They're very specific to hydroponics, and a lot of people use those. When you're using just these smaller cups, you can just use the hydroponic media without the clay balls.
Again, we want you to be able to recreate what we're building here with simple tools and basic methods. So while I do have a drill here, I want to show you a method that you can use to cut these. So here are the holes that we need to cut. But just know that when we trace around this, if we cut that outside tracing, the pot will fall through. So you want to cut a little bit to the inside, 3/16 of an inch maybe, to the inside of the line that you drew. And this is a little more time consuming than using the drill.
You can also use a kitchen knife.
Kitchen knife, you have to want to saw it, or even a drywall knife would probably work as well. Going through and doing it. So again, a little bit more tedious. I'm not actually used to doing the holes like this, but you can have good results. So the idea is just to make sure you have enough lip on the outside edge for the top part of that net pot to rest on, but yet go all the way through.
And again, noting that Scott's doing it on top of another piece so we don't ruin the tape.
Okay, and in theory, I've never even done one of these, so.
It means a little bit more on the side. You didn't go through all those.
No, it didn't go through all the way. But we're gonna show you our favorite method there. You'll see why real quick. How'd they do that? They made it look easy. Oh, there it is. When it pops right out. And then the net cup sits right in and rests on the edges.
Yep.
So our preferred method is getting the proper size drill bit, which we will show in our instructions of which sizes to use. And it's really important when you're drilling holes for net pots that you get the exact size so that the net pot will rest right in it and not have that space.
Put it right up to the thing and.
Oh, to size it?
Yeah.
You can size it by putting the net pot right up to the drill bit and do that. So these are hole saws is what these are called. I would not recommend a spade bit. That will destroy the foam. You need to have a hole saw. I wouldn't even use a Forstner bit either, but a hole saw is the best. And voila, your hole is done, perfectly sized every time, and your pot sticks right back in. The only challenge to this is that the foam that you just drilled likes to stay inside of the bit. So you can go from behind and push that out. There's holes in the sides of the bit to do that. Make sure you're wearing safety glasses when you're working with your power tools.
Or if you wear glasses, you're okay.
Yeah. And pulls right back out. And then you have these fun little wheels you can use on something else.
And we've had, and I'm going to point this out, we've had people who expressed a little concern about using insulation type foam for this product. You have nothing to fear. This does not off gas anything that's toxic for you or the plants. It is inert. It's just a way to keep the plants floating. And one of the things is this is closed cell foam. You don't want regular insulation that might fluff off. So there are some insulation pieces that have like a metal on the outside and there's like somewhat like styrofoamy pieces that are stuck together. But if you drill through it, those pieces might just fall right apart. You want that closed cell foam. This kind of stuff, which we use for outhouse season here in Fairbanks, works perfectly.
As Mel said, you can get different sizes of net pots. These are 2-inch net pots that we're illustrating here with. Lettuce will grow in 1-inch and even down to 3/4 inch net pots. However, what you have here is this flexibility to grow different kinds of plants with the 2-inch net pot. And you can always use the same type of medium in it. We're going to get to that here in a little bit. So as you work your way around, have you marked all your holes on your board and you've drilled out all of your holes, you'll end up with a board that will look much like this, or one that conforms to the inside of your container at the water line you so desire. So let's get rid of these guys. Thank you. And I'm going to lay that for illustration here in my pot. Some people have asked, what about that pink top? Could I put something else on it? Absolutely. As long as it's food safe, you could put an adhesive reflective surface on it if you wished. I've seen people put like a white vinyl over the top of this, and it makes it look a little bit nicer. However, it's a little bit harder to clean. This surface you can scrub and we'll clean it up. But after time, it does get a little bit, the algae does stain the material a little bit. So if you're okay with that, it's fine.
And people have also drilled holes in the lid itself. However, then you have to keep the water level way up to the top, and that makes it a little bit more difficult than using the floating platform.
Yeah. This will go down with as the water level goes down and you make your size your mat right, it'll go up and down with the water level to a certain point. And you might want to mark, I've had students in a class, they actually fixed a ruler to the side and they put 2 lines on it. And the students knew when it got down to us, it was up here, it was good, it was all green, green, green. And as soon as it got down to another point, they had a red line and they knew to add back water and how much water to add back. Okay, guys, we can add 2 gallons now and bring it back up to level. So you can come up with fun little tools like that to keep it going. All right, so now we have our main container. We have our mat in it. We need to get we mentioned having air for, put our cups in, put all our cups in now.
So you can see.
So let's talk about water for a second. So if you have city water, we don't want city water the way it is. It typically has chlorine in it, but that's no problem. We can get rid of that. A fun way to do this, if you're still waiting on your seeds to finish to plant, is to go ahead and put the water in here. We're going to add an air stone to it. And we could either leave this in or pull this out, put our water into the desired level, just straight water, and blow it with our stone, and it'll get rid of the chlorine will either naturally dissipate, or we can accelerate that by putting in the air stone and blowing air through the system. So you don't try to the amount of surface area on the top of your water will determine the rate that the chlorine dissipates. So this being out of here helps it dissipate, not doing it in a carboy or a water jug, but in an open top surface. A 5-gallon bucket will even dissipate within 48 hours, the chlorine will dissipate out of that. So this is going to hold, what did we say, 2/3 of 17 gallons. So we're
15. Yeah. 14.
Yeah, in here. So 10 to 15 gallons is about what we're going to have in here. So if you have water you're uncertain about, plants will tell you if there's something wrong with your water. But if you want to clean your water up some, you can put a very, very like a half a teaspoon of bleach in with your water here, blow it down for a couple days, and you'll have your water purified then. So that's another method.
And that's another thing you can do with the pump to get it ready before you put things in, is you've got this air pump that you're going to be using for your system. You can put a 5-gallon bucket or a couple of 5-gallon buckets and split some stones into there and blow off the chlorine that is in city water.
So let me review real quick what we bought so far to put in. It's the 17-gallon tub from Lowe's or Home Depot, foam board from the insulation section from Home Depot or Lowe's. Home Depot, I believe, sells 2-inch, at least in Fairbanks, has 2-inch net pots or net cups, or you can order them directly from Amazon.
Or some of the other hydroponics
suppliers,
suppliers,
or you may in your community have someplace that actually stocks them. So that's what we've got so far. So now we need to get some air. So where are we going to shop for our air stuff now?
Petco. You just get, or Amazon. What you need is a very simple fish tank bubbler, air bubbler. And this is one that we have, and this one goes for 20-gallon tanks. And they come in different sizes. So if you're using a smaller container, you can use a smaller pump. Or if you're using a bigger container, like the 27-gallon tub, you can go for a 40-gallon pump, and that'll move your water around. It is just to make sure the water stays oxygenated. It has no other purpose other than to continually move the water. When you have stagnant water and that's just sitting, it can become full of bacteria, and it can also grow out a lot more algae than moving water. Algae is not bad. It means you're doing things right. And it's not toxic to you, unless, of course, it's pink and weird. But green algae is perfectly fine, and it's not harmful for anybody to eat. But the having airstone will help prevent that. It will also help your plants grow better because they're getting a lot more oxygen to lose.
So there's different kinds of air stones. When I go to Petco, I see different kinds of air stones. What kind should I get? Is there a wrong one?
Okay.
Oh, you're going to the tube. Okay, you're going to the tube next. Yeah.
Nope, I'm gonna go. So this is an airstone that's set specifically for a rectangular fish tank. And there are different kinds of stones that you could put in a rectangular, because this is a rectangular thing, so you might want this. They can come longer, but you want to make sure it fits inside your tank, obviously. And this one the stone itself is encased in plastic. There are some that you can buy online and in the pet store that are sort of just a rectangular square stone. Don't buy those. They break by just looking at them. I have never had luck with keeping them between getting them out of the package and putting them in the tank. They just have a tendency to crumble. And I recommend having the ones that are encased in plastic. It makes it easier to use and protects the stone. So the stone is on the center, and air bubbles will come out of that stone. Now there's a different style that you can get that is much more of a cylindrical one. These work fine too, but you'll want to make sure that it's not just in the corner. You'll want to have it in the center of your system so that the air's getting moved around.
Now, is it okay for my pump, if I picked the house that I used in an old fish tank that maybe has two air ports on it, so I could use two stones? And the stones that Mel's showing right here, the cylindrical ones, sometimes they're in a sphere, sometimes they're in a heart shape or a smaller shape or a shorter cylinder. Those are all okay.
Yeah, so you don't have to spend a ton of money on the stone. They don't. This one on Amazon is like $12, so it's not a super expensive part of it. The one thing you want is not the submersible pumps. You want the outside air pumps that you buy for fish tanks. And this never goes in the system itself. It sits on the outside. Never put this in the water because it's an electrical hazard.
And another note on that, before Mel talks about the line that goes between it, is if you imagine where your water level is here, you always want to make sure that your air pump is at that level or slightly above. It'll work. There's no problem with having it down here when everything's running fine. But if the power goes off, you have a great siphon set up, and it will drain your tank out onto your floor next to it. So you want to always make sure your air pump is at water level or above, so it doesn't siphon your water.
A milk crate works great for that. If you got a milk crate or a small little table sitting around, or another box right next to it for having it up. So the pump itself goes on and pushes air. You have to attach a hose to the pump, and then to the air stone. And typically, air stones have only one side that you can put that hose on. Sometimes they're connectable. This one has a little dial to make it stronger or smaller, which is kind of nice. If you do have that on yours, go to the highest setting, because the more moving around you can get, the better for your system.
Mel, do I run this all the time, or do I put this on a timer?
Nope, that one should be run constantly. So moving water all the time. Do not put this on a timer. The lights you put on a timer, but this not so much.
Okay.
So this, lift up that. So before you add your water, you put your air stone in and add the water. Then you put your floating platform on, and you're going to be adding your nutrients to the water. As soon as that's good to go, you can put your plants in.
And you shouldn't have to notch your mat if you left enough room to have some room for your mat to go up and down with the water level. The airline is not getting in the way at all of this. So that's kind of the variance you need in.
So once your water is in, don't plug this in until your water's in. Just an FYI, because it'll work, but then it'll burn out a little bit faster. So your pump, your floating platform, your water container. What's the next step?
Oh, let's noise of your air pump. If your air pump's annoying or noisy, don't cover it up because that needs airflow. That will burn up your pump as well. I've tried that one. But better to set it on a small something that's rubber or a carpet mat to keep that'll really quiet down the vibration coming off the pump.
If you've got an old oven mitt, that's kind of nice that you're not using because it's all gross. It'll work fine for that.
So do we want to start plants next or like?
Yeah, I think the plants next, and because you won't need lights until you have the plants going. So I'm going to show you a little example of how to get your plants started and what you use to plant them in. You don't, obviously this is hydroponics, so you don't want to be using soil. You can use the lid because you already got lights, and then if you have a planting tray sitting around, that's nice, but you don't need it. It is nice to be able to move it if you needed to, but you might want to have some small planting containers to put your media in. And what do I talk about media? It's not videos. It's actually that we call media is what you use to put your seeds in and your seeds grow through. Now, you notice, remember how the net pot had little holes all the way through it? Any of the media you use should be porous enough to allow roots to go through. So there's a couple of different kinds that people tend to use for hydroponics. One that most people know about is something called rock wool. And rock wool comes in different sizes. It comes in, this is a 1-inch cube, 2-inch cube. Sorry, this is a 2-inch cube, 1.5. And then it comes in these wonderful sheets for the small ones. And this is the 1-inch cube, like Scott was talking about earlier. And you can fit a lettuce plant in this, no problem. They grow just fine. This is something that's a little bit cheaper than the next thing I'm going to show you, but I find it has issues.
The quality we found in the rock wool, we'll get a great grow with the same conditions in one set of rock wool, and we'll get another set of rock wool that's maybe sometimes it feels denser and doesn't grow as well, and our plants just don't do well. And when we go outside of lettuce, it really doesn't like to grow in this rock wool medium.
And if you're using rock wool, they come in big sheets, which is really nice. So they're easy to put in a container like this. You need 12 plants for your thing. So you're not going to plant 100 plants unless you're sharing this system with somebody else. And they have a system too. But the cool thing about all the media that you can use for hydroponics is it comes with a little hole in the middle of the cube or pod where you put your seed. Now, so rock wool is one. The other one that you can use is something called a rooting plug. And rooting plugs are made using heat and a little bit of glue. And they come in this beautiful shape, which magically fits perfectly inside a 6-pack container like this. And when it goes into the net cup, it fits perfectly right inside there. And that is what provides the stability for your plant so that it doesn't fall out of your system when it gets nice and big and tall.
Now, somebody might ask right now is why not skip this step? And why couldn't we take that root cube and set it directly in here and start our seed in the deep water culture system.
And you can, but we have found that it's better and more productive to have your lights really close to your starting seedlings, and it's a little bit more difficult to do that in the system itself. It also allows you to be able to move them in and out of this and start new ones. We've just discovered it's harder to start in the system itself because the earlier parts, they don't want to be wet constantly. When you move them in, once they get that second set of leaves, they do really well in the systems. So I usually take the pods and I'll put them in a 6-pack container like this, and I'll put 6 in there. So I know I've got 12 spaces in there. Am I just gonna grow only 6 seedlings? No, because not all seeds work the way you want them to. So it's always a good idea to hedge your bet and plant about half it again, much as you plan to put in the system. The extra plants, if they all go, you're great. If they don't go, you've got a little bit of insurance that you're gonna have the right.
One thing you want to make sure when Mel plants these, sometimes maybe she dropped 2 seeds into one of them. That's fine. When the plants are in their initial first 2 leaves, the cotyledon leaves, you find other plants in there. What's really nice is all they have is a taproot at that time, and you can literally pull the extra plants out. You only want 1 plant growing in each site. They'll compete too much when they're in the hydroponic system. Otherwise, we will not get twice the product out of 2 seeds in one site.
And they will grow pretty fast. I'm just gonna stop at 12 for now, but one of the things that you have different kinds of seeds, you can use all different kinds of seeds. It doesn't have to be specialized for hydroponics. So we have some basil here, and we have some Salanova lettuce, which makes this nice, beautiful, kind of looks like a rose lettuce.
Yeah.
And these 2 are different types of seed. This one is raw seed, and it's just the seed itself. And this one is something called pelletized seeds, which that's great for hydroponics because I know you can't see this, but it's this little round pebble, and it's a seed inside there, and it's encased with a little bit of fertilizer, and it's really easy to put in the pods. So if you ever have a chance to buy pelletized seed, I particularly like pelletized seed, and you just put it right in that center hole. You want to push it down slightly so that you can see it, but it's not completely there. Now I dropped one in, but that's normal, and I'll find that later. I'm not going to bother with trying to get it out. I'm going to just put 1 seed, and I'm going to put these in here, and then I'll bring it up and I'll show you how it looks in there before I water.
You're pushing those in. She's going to show you, but she's putting those seeds in the little hole that's in the material, and she's just pushing it a little bit. You can still see it.
Yeah.
So we don't want to push these. Or again, your seed packet is a good indicator, but for most of the plants we're talking about are just at that surface level, not on top, but just below where you can still see it in the hole.
So here's my little 6-pack, and you can see the seeds. There's 1 seed in each of those pods, and I pushed it down a little. Now, this is the first step. The next step, I need to take a little bit of a spray bottle and activate those seeds. And just plain water works just fine. Once those seeds are nice and sprouted, they're gonna put out, when they first start, they put out these first 2 leaves. Those are called the cotyledon leaves. And then the second set of leaves, which look a little bit more like the plant itself, it's gonna have a little bit of lobing. That's your second set of leaves. The first time, you'll be so excited that your plants have that second set of leaves. As soon as those second set of leaves are a little bit bigger, then you can put your plant pod into your system. And what you do to take it out is not pull it by the stem, You take your fingers on the bottom of the 6-pack, which is really nice, and reach around and grab that whole pod from here rather than the seedling itself, because that's when you snap the stems and you'll be really bummed. You'll be like, oh, I killed my seedling. But this is a easy way to do it. And if you by any chance have an other shelf that has a light on it, you can put it right under there, or you can put it on top of your cover underneath your lights. But the tricky thing is you don't want the lights way up here and expect those seedlings to be happy. It needs to be down here. The lights need to be close, about 4 inches at the maximum away from your growing seedlings to make them happy. So
That's
here's a light. Yep, you'll want it down there. Yep.
Mel, life gets busy and some of us don't have green thumbs when we start this system. And you too, anyone can grow plants, and this system makes it really easy for that. What kind of a window do I have when you talked about the ideal of when to transplant, but sometimes we're kind of busy and that doesn't happen. One nice thing about these root cubes is it gives a little more room for roots to grow. So what happens in these smaller cubes is the roots, if you don't transplant right at that time she's talking about, is the plant goes into a different state and its roots get wound up in here, and it kind of stalls out the plant.
Yeah.
Hers will give a little bit more of a window. So we don't want our plants getting too large because of the roots growing too excessively in the pod, and it'll become difficult and you'll have to cut some of the roots off as you come out of the pods because they'll grow out underneath it.
So I'm going to show you. Here's the raw basil seed. I'm going to plant some basil too. And there's a bunch of them in there, but I want to hedge my bets with basil because it's kind of a tiny little seed. So instead of pushing them in, I'm just going to sprinkle them around the top, around that hole.
She's pinching
a
the seeds with
couple.
the tips of her finger
Get right in there.
and wiggling back and forth her
Wiggling it.
fingers so
Yep.
that the seeds just drop out as she
Now,
goes.
I have 2 different kinds of seeds here. What's the most important thing I need to do?
Because a lot of our plants, when they're in cotyledon stage, look almost
look all
identical.
the
You
same.
can't identify
They
it.
do.
So
So,
we found that label makers
and
look
labels.
fancy because we got to look fancy.
Yeah, and you can
And-
use cut up yogurt containers for the sickle sticks, anything that will work. You don't have to have fancy plant labels. But one of the things that we really like to use is a label maker. If you've got one of those, oh, it's so much easier. You can certainly write the name on there with a pen.
And
So-
the brother Pete
I
is
do.
the one. I think we have 5 or 6 of these around the office, and we use them all the time. We label bins with them. We label plants with them.
So I've got my basil tag here, and I'll stick just one in there like that. And then if I want to use the labeler, yeah, why not? So here we go. Turn it on.
Sometimes it's nice to put the date. Sometimes on the outside of the 1020 tray, this green tray here, I'll put the date that I seeded. We're going to be about 2 weeks approximately, depending on your plants, about 2 weeks from the time we plant to the
Yep.
time we transplant. And then we're going to be another 3 to 4 weeks in the deep water culture. Again, depending on conditions that may vary a little.
No, just peel it. I like this. I'm just like that. I think I like things that look fancy. But
So it would be nice the first times you grow is to kind of keep a little record, a little journal of when you seeded, when you transplanted, and when you harvested.
well,
And if you're
Okay.
if you're a science type person, you know, to experiment with things, there's so many different things that can change.
so I'll come
And you
to
can change.
this. The other thing you can do when you're doing this, so I've got my 2 plants here. The other thing you can do is with a tray, you can actually just put water in the bottom, and that helps too. You will get a little bit more algae growing, or you can just spray them from the top.
Mel, I wanted to illustrate again, and it's going to bring us to our next one. So we've got our plants, our seeds are seeded, they're starting off. So we're going to get our system ready. But once we get our system ready, we could actually put this lid on top of our container, start our seeds like Mel was showing you. And then we're going to build a light structure next. And then we could actually use our water culture system to hold our nursery. And then lower the lights to where we need them to be, which will probably be a great place to start off with, even and leaving the lights the same place after our plants are ready to transplant. So it's kind of a 2-in-1 system, at least as when you're starting. Obviously, when you get to your next batch, you're going to have those seeds started somewhere else under another light. Because when you harvest, you'll have new plants to put right back in then.
And just consider this. One of the things I hear, oh, I don't have room in my house to grow plants. Well, this is the only space with a teeny little bit on either side that you'd be giving up to grow plants. And it's about this tall. So if you got a little corner in your house, you don't want to be putting this in front of a window because you'll have extra light that will mess up your plants. So if you got a corner or even a space on a table, this works phenomenally well for small space areas.
Some people may ask where we've been getting our seeds. Those nice pelleted seeds that Mel showed you came from Johnny Seeds. Johnny Seeds, where are they located? They're in
Maine.
In Maine.
Yeah.
Their seeds do really well for us. They have very high amounts of accuracy. What's the word for that?
Well, I think they're grown in a similar climate to Alaska, and so they can handle fluctuations in temperature. So if you have a house that goes down to 60 at night or even colder, they do fine.
So Johnny Seeds would be our #1 pick for seeds. There are many great values. I found a great value place to buy seeds. You don't get the pelletized service, but it's from True Leaf Market is a great place. They have excellent quality. That's more of a cooperative, and you can get great value in seeds there. Baker, and there's dozens of other seed companies that you can order from their catalogs. But #1 is Johnny Seeds as far as how we've been successful. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is build a light structure. If you have any questions for anyone watching this video at any time, you're always free to look at our website for more resources on, and that is the Fairbanks Soil and Water Conservation District website. Just Google that in and it'll bring it up. And look in the education section, I believe, is where our hydroponics
well, we
videos.
it under the resources.
It's under resources. Okay. And you're free to call us here at the office. Call Mel or myself. The information, our contact information is on the website as well, under the personnel to talk to Mel or I. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to set this out right now as we build the light structure. Yeah. So the next thing we're going to do is another more locally sourced items. The next thing we're going to need to purchase is 1-inch PVC pipe, and this is Schedule 40 pipe. It's nice and heavy. And then we will also, in addition to this, this is sold in 10-foot sections. Some of the smaller airlines will fly the 10-foot sections of PVC pipe for you. I know Grant and Wrights will probably fly that for you. And then the more unique piece is this 3-way fitting. This may or may not be available at your local Ace or be available at Lowe's all the time. Sometimes Lowe's has these. I don't think Home Depot does. So it's a 3-way Schedule 40 fitting. You can get it from plumbing supplies places as well if you're dealing with someone like that. The other piece we're going to be using is a 3-way T, or it's a T, just a standard T, Schedule 40 again. So for this project, we're going to need 8 of these, and we're going to need 4 of these. And then our pipe, what did we decide on how many pieces of 10-foot pipe you recommended for this project?
I think it's 3.
3, 4 to be safe. Of the 10-foot pieces, obviously this one's cut down of the 1-inch PVC. This next one is not an exact science of how big. Actually, none of this is an exact science. It's just getting it close, and you're probably good. You may figure out things that work best for you in your situation. Whatever kind of table you're going on, you may want to make the structure a little bit different. We're going to show you a basic setup that has worked for us and for many of the people that have built these that we've had classes and workshops with. So the first thing we want to do is we're not going to take up any more space than necessary. So we're going to make a cube, and we're going to put 4 uprights in the corners. one here, one back here, one over here, and one here. We're going to build a base, a square base on the bottom with the fittings. And then on the top, we're going to have our end piece, and we're going to add two more pieces in here because those will hold our lights. And our lights will go across the top. So if we look at our top, we're going to have one light here and one light here. One light here, one light here over the top of our structure, of the top of our tub. And then those will be held by the two pieces that are right here and right here. So we're going to get our overall dimensions right now. Just remember when you're measuring for PVC pipe that the pipe goes into the fitting. You can measure into the fitting how far it goes. It's about an inch. And this pipe goes in exactly an inch. We're just going to use compression fittings. You can glue this together. You can run a screw through it, pilot it, and screw them together. But typically, the compression fitting on this 1-inch pipe will be Schedule 40. It's nice enough that it stays together. And if you want to take it away to Mart and store it, it comes apart fairly easy. So that's a really nice thing we've experienced. Some of our light structures for our larger objects have to come apart to go through doorways, so it's really nice for that. Okay, so Mel, let's get some measurements on this.
Yep.
So if we take, and again, you can do the eyeball system if you want to. So and going this way, we'll need 4 pieces that go the narrower length, and then we'll need 4 pieces, or no, we'll need shorter sections for this one. So on this one, and if you just really want to be sure that you're sure, you can put that fitting on and know the total length there, and then also know where you're going to be on this side.
And it could be right up against the tub. It's okay.
So I know that my pipe needs to be at least 20. I'm going to add another inch to it. So I'm going to say my pipe needs to be 21, and I think I'll be all right on this way. So with the 17-gallon tub, I'm going to make my shorter pieces I got it held here at 21. I think I'm going to be okay with that. So I'm going to take my pipe. I'm going to probably be able to get 2 pieces out of this one. And I'm looking for a permanent marker. Works really great, which I had sitting here.
There it is.
Okay.
Woohoo.
So I need to cut.
Have everything.
I'm not going to cut all 4. I'm going to cut one of them and make sure I'm okay before I cut more of them. So I just put a mark there. Don't need to draw all the way around it. And the next item you probably is a really handy tool. You could use a chop saw, a wood chop saw for this. Just go easy on it, or so it doesn't shard the plastic. But we find that these cutters, which are meant for PVC pipe, work really well. Again, be very careful. The razor blade knife in these will remove digits and ruin your math career.
Don't dare anybody.
Yeah.
Because well.
Okay, so I'm cutting 21 inches for this one of 4 pieces. I'm going to put my end pieces on, verify that I've got the right size, because I have been wrong before. And I'm talking while I'm doing this. And in fact, perfect. 21 inches works great. So I'm going to cut my other 3 at 21. Yep, and I can cut another one out of this. Sometimes the ends with the knife don't cut perfectly perpendicular. It's okay. When it goes into the fitting, like this end is not perfect. It cut at a little bit of an angle when it cut. It's okay. Because there's enough variance in the fitting that you won't even see that, and it'll still fit just fine. Okay, so we have 2 at 21. Measure twice, cut once.
All right, and you can start the next work.
Okay. So Mel has been in building the end pieces, the end squares. And probably what I'll do after that is we'll cut the long ones that go on the bottom, and then we'll figure out the math for the top. So in 42, there's no saw kerf when you're using a knife, so you can mark out several marks for your cuts. Or if you do use a chop saw, allow for your saw kerf, which is generally like 1/8 of an inch, 3/16 of an inch. So there's 3rd one at 21, and our 4th one at 21. I'm cutting now. again, your tub may be a little bit different size. So while our light structure may look really nice when it's done, it may not fit your tub. So be careful. And our fourth one at 21. Okay. So now, Mel, we're going to get our measurement for the bottom two pieces.
Yep.
So we're going to cut two pieces at this length. And, probably about 32. We might be able to get by with 31.
We get it.
Do 32. Let's go 32. So we're going to cut our this length at 32. So we're going to cut the two bottom ones first because we're going to get fancy on the top. We're going to add those extra two pieces in. 32. Maybe. Nope. I'm getting one. So we build light towers and we build different types of structures. So we have lots of scraps from our other projects is what we're working with here. Is why we have not 10-foot pieces.
I've already used all the 3-ways on the crossbars, so we don't need to have any more for those.
Yeah, I'm cutting my second one at 32 inches. And these knives are fairly easy. If they're sharp, almost anyone can operate these. Obviously, if you're having students or small ones work with them, just supervise them and make them aware of the ability to cut yourself with them. It'll happen and it'll be done before you know it.
So now we can put this around the bottom.
Okay. Hopefully.
Put that on.
Okay. Things, okay. So everybody can see what's going on in here.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to tilt the camera down just a little bit so everybody can see what's going on with this. Okay, there we go. Come out of the way. So you can see the tub. I'm going to turn your way a little bit. Okay. Yeah, so we could still a little bit long. We could actually probably shorten those up. You want to leave them?
I think
Okay, it's not going to factor anything. But if you're tight for space, we've made ours a little bit larger. We probably have an extra 2 inches, 2.5 inches here. That's fine. Because what we're doing is just making a nice, so we can put our uprights in now. We had those cut, didn't we? No, we didn't cut uprights. Okay, so now the next decision. So depending on the plants you're going to grow, so remember, let's determine how tall we're going to make our light structure. So remember our plants are in here. Think about how tall the tallest plant you're going to grow is. A miniature romaine plant, or let's say you grow a large marigold in here, which is sometimes a companion plant we grow in our hydroponics with us. Maybe get as tall as 8 to 10 inches.
Yeah.
8 to 10 inches. And then take away about 2.5, so about 6. So our tallest plants, I'm just going to say 8 to 10 inches above there was where our lights need to be. We need to leave a little room. So we probably want a foot above the top of our tub to make our structure. So about a foot above it. So we're going to want to, again, consider the fact that it goes into the fittings. I'm looking for my marker. I lost him. He's in here. He's in here, I think.
Let's be inside. Yep,
Yeah.
right there.
Okay. So I think, and being extra on this is okay. If you're a little, I shoot for more than less so that you have plenty of flexibility, like when you put that tray on top and are growing your nursery. So I think I'm going to cut these. If I put a foot plus 10 inches, so 22 inches. 22 inches. So that's right here, Mel.
Yeah.
So that's going to make it about that tall. So
That's
I'm cutting my
perfect.
uprights at 22 inches for this. 22. I guess I could see if this is long enough to make 44. And it is 22, 44. Okay, and I'll mark that one out, 22 and 44 on this one. And these are our 4 uprights, 22 and 44 inches.
Oh, I'm gonna have some pieces for me, able to rest of it.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, I'll cut these quickly here. One item you might want to, I've seen some creative people do, is they attached with tie straps, they attach their air pump to the top of the structure. So if you have an air pump, they're all designed a little bit differently. You could do that. And if you want things to look really pretty, you can tie strap the air hose to the structure as well and make it look nice. Okay. Go. Then our third one at 22 inches. If you're an old fogey and born in the 1900s, I remember a show on PBS that used to be called Zoom.
Yep.
Zoom, and they would do projects like this with the kids, and they would talk you through them as they built the projects. It kind of reminds me of that.
We've had a new version of it recently, my brother, but it's still,
Do that fourth one.
even that, it's right there.
Okay, so hopefully I think you're almost getting everything in here. I'm going to turn the camera just a little bit so you can see everything. Okay, so we have our 4 uprights in. I'm going to tilt the whole unit towards you, how it looks. This is what we're looking like right now. We're going to tilt the camera back a little bit because we're going to work on the top now.
Do it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the difference we're going to do up here, we can go put our end pieces on now.
Yeah.
You're seeing all this now. Yeah, great. So don't just let them together. You might want to give them a little, if you're not a particularly strong person, you can use a rubber mallet and put these together. And so there we go. So now, why aren't we cutting this piece long ways like this one down on the bottom? Well, we want to be able to hold our lights. So we're going to have, so if we consider where our lights are going to go, they're going to go here and here. And I'm just going to lay them down in. Mel has them. We'll show you we're going to show them how to put the lights together too.
Yep.
Okay.
I've got this one here ready to do that.
There's
one other one.
Let's take
ready.
a break. Well, let's not take a break. Let's show you how lights come. We have a particular light that we like to use from Amazon. This is not available at Home Depot or Lowe's. You're going to find that the light we use is much more reliable and much lower cost per unit. So these 2-foot units, I know the 4-foot units we're buying for about $15 a piece.
Yep.
And these smaller 2-foot, which are the same.
Yeah, they're 12.
These are 24-watt LEDs, and these are full spectrum lights that they use in there, but are kind to the human eyes. These are actually, and the 6500K lights we use are kind of in that happy light zone. So they're really nice to you. Okay, Mel's will show you.
So they have these metal light diffusers on that. The light is in the center, and then the diffusers help spread that light around. And they come with it when you buy them that way. They come with them, but you have to install them. They don't come with them fully prepared and installed. So they come with these things. They're usually wrapped up in all of the tools. And there's a little groove on the light, and you just feed that light diffuser, and you got to try to do it a little bit. Sometimes I do it like that because it's way easier, because if you push it, sometimes they'll bend.
And the fins are exactly the same for the left and right. You just turn them around.
Yeah.
So that they fit on the other side.
Yep. So that's what it looks like, and it's pretty nice. And then on the either end of it, there's connectors. And once we get it set up, we'll show you how that connector works. But we got to figure out a way of hanging them. So we need 2 crossbars, because one, it'll go like this. So you have to have 2 to keep it exactly where you want it. So you're going to need 2 bars across there. Now I set these up. We'll probably want to move it just a bit. And we'll have to adjust these little holders based on where we end up putting the crossbars. But the nice thing is they're removable and movable, and they're not like set exactly the way you put them. You can always change them. So you can see how I adjusted it slightly and moved them in a little bit closer because that's actually going to be better. So we'll use that in here as a guide as to where we're going to put our bars.
And those lights come in 6 packs, is 6 packs or 10 packs. And I think maybe you can buy one.
In 4
You
packs.
can buy them in 4 packs as well.
And the nice thing about the 4 packs is if you're growing other plants in your house, the 4 packs, you can use 2 of them to grow other plants.
Okay,
If you're
Belle
not
chosen
using-
where she wants to hang her lights from. So now
That's
we're gonna, well, that's fine. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use her spacing here. You can choose whatever spacing you like. But I'm gonna use her spacing here to determine where our top pieces are gonna go. So, the first thing I'm gonna do is estimate how far it is from each side to her bracket. So, we go into about the pole is the right one to there. So about 10 inches. 10 inches in on each side. So I'm going to cut 4 pieces at 10 inches now for my first tee to go
We
in.
have lots
Oh,
of extra pieces.
Actually, we want to be a little less than that because of the tee. I need to see where that fits in. And sometimes we have to trim the things up. So if I want to go center to there, so here to, yeah, 9.5. I'm going to go with 9.5. 9.5 to the center of each one. So I'm going to cut 4 pieces at 9.5 and put those in my 4 corners. And we're just going to build this in.
When I connect them with the T's.
Again, you can be a little bit off. These are hanging on chains. If you're an inch or 2 off, the chains will allow for it and it's okay. Nine and a half. My first one, 9.5. My second one, 19 inches. This isn't long enough. I need some more pieces, Mel.
Oh, I've got lots. We
Yeah,
have
yeah,
lots
yeah.
more.
Let's try, we can get 2 out of this one.
That neat.
Yeah, this one's enough to get both 9.5 and 18 and 19 inches is my second one. So I have 4 pieces to cut. Okay. And then after we get these cut, we're going to add T's in for our holders. And then we'll cut center pieces, 2 center pieces, and we'll be done. And then we'll be ready to start installing our lights. So these T's and these corner pieces, remember, we may have to get off of Amazon or from a plumbing supplier. Would be our 2 resources for those.
I know them on Amazon.
Sometimes people like to build lawn furniture out of 1-inch PVC pipe. So you can sometimes get these pieces at Lowe's and Home Depot. And if you can, I think that was just one. Yeah.
Is this the right size?
They think so. I'm talking while I'm working. No, it is not. This is your final one. Those are these 2 are good.
Okay.
These are good ones. And then sometimes you can get colored ones. So you can get some plant green ones, black ones, red ones are available sometimes that they build lawn furniture out of. And that's okay. Even if it's a Schedule 80, the lighter weight ones, they will still work. Unfortunately, you can't get black and red 1-inch PVC pipe, so it's not going to match everything. Okay.
And we got the other, there's one and there's one in there.
Okay. So I'm not worried about how long this centerpiece is because I've got it adjusted for my lights. And however far again, so we'll notice that this lines up with Mel's spacing in those.
And if we need to move it, we will.
We're going to make sure our uprights are pretty perpendicular before I measure. Okay, everything looks pretty steady. That's all right. I can get this measurement, I think.
Okay.
And it looks like I have about 10 inches. So 2 10-inch pieces, and that's about more than 20, so we should be able to get it. So 10 and 20, come through.
I'm just gonna fix this one.
I'm cutting 2 10-inch pieces for my center one. Again, yours may be a little bit different if you measured a little bit differently. Okay, 2 cuts, and we will have our light structure completed. And the versatility of this is wonderful. If you find out your first system, when you do this the first time, like, oh, this isn't really working, or things are I wish this was a little bit taller. Nothing's permanent here. You can take it right back apart and add on or redo, put in new sections, I suggest buying a piece extra of your PVC pipe. So especially if you're remote, that way you have, or maybe one of your, someone in your community has extra 1-inch PVC pipe.
Right. This one,
And, oh, you know what, Mel?
we need
We
to.
could have cut 2 more of these.
I know. I
So,
was just thinking that we should have done that, but we need to just double check and make sure
So,
that it is the right.
Our centerpieces will be the exact same length as our end
Oh, your
pieces were.
piece.
And does anybody remember what length that was? I
I
think it was 16. Oh, it's 20,
it was
Is it 21 and a
21
half?
inch. I thought it was 21-inch.
21.
I was 21.
Okay, we're going with 21.
We
That
can
will
go back over the
21.
video, but look,
21.
we're
So we're gonna cut 2 at 21. And we are, yeah, we used up
Jumped
all
on it exactly. That was good.
21. And there's nothing wrong with building more than one system at a time. If you have friends, you can gift these. These are wonderful. Nearly anyone can use a hydroponic system. I actually can't think of anybody who can't. We're hoping to do another video in the near future on a crack key system, which is even simpler than this system.
I definitely think we should redo the tower one too. But
Yeah.
not the kids did a good job.
So we have a couple sizes of towers that we build in our videos if you want to check those out. They use 5-gallon buckets and 2-gallon and 1-gallon buckets in all of our systems. Again, available really easily. Get really resourceful. You can find colored buckets too, so those are lots of fun. Oops.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you got the whole system.
So I'm going to tilt up the light structure here. You can see what it looks like on it. This is a nice one. We've done a good job here, Mel. All right. So now we need to have a way, so not only to hang our lights, so don't just make one permanent length that works for you right now. You want this to be variable. So we want to be able to get our lights up out of the way if we want, or lower them. So we have quite a range of area we can be. So remember, if you put, let's go ahead and set this up, Mel, to start our plant out. So
Okay.
let's imagine our plants in here.
So we're gonna use something super magical called an S-hook. And they work really nicely.
So we're going to set our lights up initially here to grow the plants in here. And I'm going to set our 1020 tray in here. And again, this is probably only going to work the first time you grow. You'll probably need to start your plant elsewhere if you want to keep a continuous grow going in your system. So every 4 weeks, you can be having fresh vegetables come out of your system, which is really nice.
Oh, you got the S-hook in your hand.
Um,
So I'm just using the S-hook and putting it on the chain, which we used a little chain cutter to make all the same size.
So you can use an electrician's pair of pliers, or we have this nice set of nippers. This was from Lowe's, I believe. It's a Cobalt. These cut the little lightweight chain really nicely. So you don't need ornamental chain, just basic chain works. This is like a
Here, you do that.
okay. If you want to, you can tie strap. If you like tie straps.
Yep.
I get a little crazy with tie straps sometimes, and you can tie strap these right to the pipe and move it back and forth, or you can simply just use an extra one of your S hooks, and like Mel's doing here, and
Nobody buys one S-hook.
take it around here, and this makes it very, very easy to change and move around. Again, tie straps work as well.
And I bought a package of like 500 S-hooks on Amazon for $11. So use them for a lot.
Okay, now the next thing, Mel's going to determine the height she wants her light set at.
So I'm gonna use that S-hook again. I'm gonna put it through the little light holder that comes in the box with the kit.
And you can count down, measure, guess, whatever you want to do here on how far you want to come down.
Well, that was great. So
There you
you
go.
want to have them as even as possible, and I guess perfectly on the, and then again having them at the same level is really kind of important. because you have some that are closer or some that are far away. Now, here's the cool thing you can do is move your lights. When you use the S hooks, it's easy to
Yep.
get them right over your plants.
The tie straps, if you use tie straps, this doesn't
It's a
happen.
little bit harder to do it that way. Yep. So imagine our plants are right here. We've started. You don't necessarily have to have the lights on when it's just the seed, but it does help to give a little extra heat because plants really like warmth.
So do we leave the
So-
lights on all the time?
The lights should be kept on a timer. So if you have a timer, a regular timer, which I didn't grab, I'll go.
The dial timers are
You
an
can talk
electronic.
about that out.
The dial timers, we find the mechanical dial timers work really well. That's our chosen one. That they rarely fail. And we set those for 12 hours on and 12 hours off. Ideally, they're on from 12 hours in the day, from 8 in the morning till 8 at night, 6 in the morning till 6 at night, and then they're off in the evening.
So here's a regular dial timer, and you can see that little arrow tells you what time it is right now, and you can set your time for it to be on by pushing those little tabs up, and then having half of them on and half of them off gives you a 12-hour cycle. 12 hours on and 12 hours off is like the ideal for most plants. Now, if you're growing things like, tomatoes or something that fruits like zucchini or squash, you want to up that light time to about 18 hours on and 6 hours off. And that will 8 hours off. And that will make a big difference in you're getting fruit. The cool thing about hydroponics is you get to be a pollinator when you're doing fruit things. And so you use a paintbrush because there's no insects in your house, hopefully, to pollinate for you. Using a paintbrush is what we have kids do, and they really enjoy that part if you're doing any kind of fruit stuff.
Okay, the next thing we need to do, we don't have wireless lights, unfortunately.
Nope.
So the kit comes with these connectors, and you can daisy chain. So if you were to choose more than 2 lights, you can daisy to chain multiple units together. They have different, they're both, one's a male end and one's a female end on some of them. Sometimes they're identical. You'll just have to see which light you get. So we'll connect those together. They're a 3-prong insert. So I'm going to connect them together. You may want to consider where your plug is. So I'm thinking my plug's probably over on this end. And when I daisy chain them together, I'll only need to put you'll have a switch with a plug in it on the end of it.
This comes with it.
Oh.
That's the switch, and that's on, off there. And this will go
into the end here. So my, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
So my power's coming in this end. It has a switch on it right here. And then Mel is going to, here, I'm coming at you. It's coming at you.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna plug it in so you can
No,
see
we're
what.
plugging it in. So,
Oh, we turned the lights on.
okay, so we have lights and we're also stretching our cord. So
Yeah.
test your lights out, obviously. And
Yeah.
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 And then we're going to want to put our timer will go at your outlet
Yep.
or into your power strip.
So, yep, you want to put your light socket. You put that into your timer and then plug the timer in to the wall or your strip and make sure you've got it set for 12 hours on and not 12 hours off. And you got that time little arrow set to the actual time it is right now.
So you may ask, or someone may be concerned in your household about how much power this is going to draw. What's this going to cost to run? Oh, no. Well, we do our math. We have 24 watts per light. Those are only running half the day. So we could do a kilowatt per hour estimate here if we did our math long enough. So we're burning 48 watts here. We're burning less than 10 watts with our air pump. It's probably a 5 or a 7 watt air pump. So we have less than running a 60 watt light bulb when everything is on during the day for 12 hours. At night, we're only running 7 watts per hour, or 7 watts total during the night hour. So very low resource as far as energy to run this system. This is a very small compact unit. And every 4 weeks you can or if you stagger your plants, maybe if you go with a 2-week program where you're planting half of your system every 2 weeks, or you could have every 2 weeks, this can be having lettuce ready. And in that 2-week period, you could be harvesting from it. So if you stagger your plantings and stagger your harvests, this can continually be producing for you.
And you'll notice how it's bowing down just a little bit. This is all just about tightening it back up and making sure it's nice and
Push it together, have some on the
tight.
side. Yeah, it's loose stuff.
It happens. And if you do ever end up, this don't weigh anything, so they shouldn't be pulling it down. If it's bowing at all, it means that you've just got to
We're
tighten
pulling
up
apart,
your
yeah.
your
We just need that.
connectors, and that's it. So we built it. We built it for you, and we hope that you get a chance to do this. Again, all the instructions and supply needs are on our website for Soil and Water. It's under resources, and it's under the hydroponics tab. And this video will be on there, so you can show it again and again and again if you want, for folks who want to build these. But we really
If you have any questions or run into difficulties, give us a call. Our phone, Mel and my phone numbers are on the website, and for the Fairbanks Soil and Water Conservation District, our emails are there as well. And give us a shout. We would love to help you be successful with hydroponics, no matter where you are, or how small a space you have, or how limited your resources are.
all right. And happy growing.